my dad, I actually usually cry every time when I remember, because my dad never used to have diabetes, and he got diabetes. So I always ask myself, is it because of me? Because my dad used to really hurt when he got to know about this. And when I heard that my dad used his fatherly love, and he told me when I was in the hospital, he told me, Racheal, right now I've been diagnosed with diabetes. I don't want to die because of you. Just leave that marriage. Wow. It's enough.
Good evening. It's that moment again where we bring to you the Gorgeous Women Show. It's all about women empowerment, understanding ourselves, talking about ourselves, laughing about our mistakes, and of course, imparting the next generation. I'm Reverend Ruth Wamoyo, and I'm so excited to have you tune in online, on TV, and we appreciate your feedback. Every time you give it to us, it makes us keep on going. And as usual, I have a very, very special guest that has come to be with me, and she will introduce herself to you very, very soon. But there's something that I want to introduce about the topic of today is life after divorce. First of all, when you talk about divorce in the African setting, my goodness, it is something that you can't even want to think about in the African setting. But anyway, somebody has to talk about it, and you're there. Continue giving us your comment. Tell us what the Lord is doing in your life after divorce, or maybe you're in the process of divorce, and we so much appreciate your feedback. Karibu sana, Racheal.
Asante.
We are so much excited to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to be.
I only see you on TV, so it's cool to be.
I can imagine.
Sitting next to you.
And you're always behind the scene doing films for us, and we truly appreciate what you do.
Yeah,
we seem to be like the guys shining on the front line, but actually you are the people who make it happen.
Thank you.
So we appreciate you for what you do.
Thank you.
So kindly introduce yourself. Who is Racheal?
So Racheal is a filmmaker.
Yes.
And I forgot to say a woman who loves God.
Amen.
And a filmmaker.
Yes.
And social entrepreneur.
Great.
So
social entrepreneur.
Yes, filmmaker and social entrepreneur.
What does that mean?
So what I do is I do film as a business.
Yes.
And I also do film to give back to the community.
Oh, I get you now.
Through the youth film platform.
Yes.
And through other initiatives to sensitize the community.
Yes.
And empower them with practical and professional skills in multimedia, and also helping local filmmakers to make money from their films.
Oh, great!
So basically,
so are you making any progress in that? Have you seen any success stories?
Yes, I've seen a lot of success stories. Recently, I helped a group of Kenyans attend Cinema d'Amare in Italy.
Yeah,
and after
great.
we came back, it was a 3-month program.
Yes.
And after we came back, we were able to enter our films to Kalasha. And they were nominated.
Great.
And currently, since we came back, we've done 2 festivals and involving these people.
Yes.
And they're growing in their skills and they're growing in their market.
Great.
And also I've attended a couple of festivals all around the world. Cannes Film Festival, Disco, Meet Connections. And I feel that the young filmmakers in Kenya need these connections. So whenever there is need, we connect. Like for example, the 72 Hours film series that we just did.
Yes.
So what we did is we brought judges that I met in Cinema d'Amare from all over the world.
Oh, wow.
Because nowadays everything has gone online. So the festival, it was a challenge to make a film within 72 hours.
72 hours.
Yeah, so there's this friend of mine who told me I can't do this because I don't have judges, I don't have people to work with. So I told her.
How long was the film?
the films, short films,
Yeah.
1 to 5 minutes.
Oh,
but
great.
you make within 72 hours.
Wow,
so
that
we give
is-
you a line phrase to make sure you do that.
Yeah.
But so she was about to give up on that idea, and that's an example of one of the people that I empowered socially and entrepreneurially, because I got the judges from Pakistan, from US, from Iran, and we were able to train the filmmakers, and they participated in the challenge, and we had 45 films entered for the festival, shot
great.
within 72 hours, and they were great.
Amen.
And we'll be now having our gala awards on 21st of November.
Ah, great.
Yes.
So my interest is in all those gorgeous ladies that were involved.
Yes.
Do you have ladies that were there and did they shine?
Yes, actually, the 72 Hours project was for ladies.
Oh,
actually,
great.
It was done by Ashley Kibali.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's an entrepreneur. She's not a filmmaker by profession. So she's always loved movies, because she says movies changed her life, even when she was really down, because positive movies are capable of impacting and inspiring people. So she wanted to inspire the youth to make more positive stories, and that's why she wanted to do the 72-hour challenge, where she dictates the line phrase to be used in the movie, and that line phrase is inspiring. So everybody's forced to make an inspiring film. So actually it was an all-women crew. Even in the judges that we got, we got women, and the women were more than men actually. Yeah, but we always try to do gender balance.
I can tell you. Yeah. Wow, that is so great to hear from Racheal. It's gorgeous again. I'm Reverend Ruth Wamoyo, and we are at Skyview Gardens Apartments along Church Road in Westlands. Make a point and come and visit there. It's a very gorgeous place. It's a wonderful place where you can just come and look around if you want to own a home. And we'll take a break, and after we come back, we are going to talk about life after divorce, because though she's an entrepreneur, we are entrepreneurs, there's always a side of us that yearns for a good family. See you after the break. Wow, great. Welcome back, our viewer. Remember, we are at Skyview Garden Apartments, Westlands. Make a visit and just come and find one apartment you can buy for your family. There's a swimming pool and many other things. They are actually our partners in Gorgeous this season. And karibu sana, Racheal. I'm so happy that you're here with us.
Asante sana.
We want to talk about a very sensitive topic, divorce. When Moses was talking and giving the laws to the children of Israel, he said that there are times that divorce is permissible. And you've lived in marriage and life after divorce. Maybe there's somebody watching us and they're going through some relationship that probably may be heading towards divorce. Is divorce permissible, and under what conditions can somebody walk out of a marriage?
I think using my own experience, I would say at some point divorce is permissible. My story is a story of living in a marriage full of violence. I ended up being admitted in hospital for a couple of days, like 70 days. Because of
70 days.
Of what happened in my life. So I got married when I was 22. And I don't come from a rich family background. And so when I left school at 17, I moved out of my parents' house because I was very sure they would not afford to pay for my higher education. And so I started hawking in the streets of Nairobi, selling clothes, shoes. I was hawking at Tomboya Street in the night, at Landmawe during the daytime.
From the age of 17?
Yeah, from the age of 17 to try and survive. And I used to live in behind Kenya Railways, those Kenya Railways houses at Landmawe. And I was able to save a good amount of money and go to school of journalism, because that was my dream. I saved 150,000 shillings through years to go to
out of the hawking business.
Yes, out of the hawking business. And remember, actually, I was jailed by City Council so many times.
I can imagine. And your staff thrown off the street.
Of course. Yeah, I was one of those guys. And there are so many witnesses who've seen that testimony in my life. Some used to be my customers. They became my students when I became a lecturer. So we God uses us as tools to testify of what He can do in our lives. And so I saved 150,000. Went to school of journalism.
So now, let me just take you back. At 22 now, you get married.
Yes.
When you get married, do you feel like you're ready for marriage, or is it because of the prevailing conditions economically?
I think I was ready for marriage. I always wanted to get married young. So I used to say, when I'm 21 or 22, I'll get married. And then I met a hawker in the streets, actually.
Wow.
And that's why I was trying to give my background story. I met a hawker.
Yes.
And that time I was working as a journalist in KBC.
Oh, goodness.
After I've got an internship and I'm working as a journalist now in KBC. I met a hawker in the streets and I felt so much sympathy for him. And he was looking so smart. He had nice shoes and everything. He used to sell sweets. So I liked him. I started buying, telling him keep change. And one thing led to another. And my parents were not really happy with my choice. Because they were telling me there's something looking terribly wrong with that.
Let me just get to know. I believe my viewer and me, I'm also curious to know. Now, after the sweets, of course, you'll get some sweets. And at what point did he decide that I'm in love, or when did you decide to get together?
So, when I met him, he had dreadlocks, he was wearing studs, and obviously I didn't see him as a marriage material, but I just liked him. So I used to try and convince myself he will change, and maybe I would consider. And then one day he shaved off the dreadlocks and he told me he'd gotten born again. Jesus. And he even welcomed me to the church. We went to City Victory Temple a couple of times. He was worshiping, he was good, he was serving God. And I said, wow, now this is husband material. But my parents thought otherwise, but I didn't listen to them. So I through sympathy, I got married.
So those were red flags that you could see even before you got into the relationship.
Yes.
Number one, I believe, is how your parents felt about it. So how did you overcome the bit of your parents getting uncomfortable?
I didn't listen to my parents, I'll confess. I actually told them, you don't have any right to choose a husband for me.
I know you are madly in love.
And I was telling them, I know you're discriminating against him because he's poor, because he's an orphan. And so my parents told me marriage is about logic. You have to accept the reality as it is. And so when I couldn't accept their decision, so they had to support me. We did a big church wedding.
Oh, Jesus.
ECM Carrara Church.
Amen. But nevertheless, your parents came.
Yes, they came. They supported now afterwards because they had no option. And obviously, parents love their children, so they always support you even when they don't agree with your decision, especially if it's a decision of your life. So during my honeymoon, actually, we never went for honeymoon. We went shags in Nyeri.
Okay, who's shags? That was shags. His shags.
Yeah, that was our honeymoon. The house did not even have a bed. We were sleeping on the mattress.
Oh my goodness!
And 3 days down the line,
that was love.
Fast beating.
During honeymoon.
Yes.
What did you do to earn it?
It's just like violent. I have come to learn violent men always look for an excuse to beat you. So, like for example, if they send you to the shop, if you go and stay and then come back a bit later, they tell you umetoka, to see another boyfriend or something like that. Then they start beating you, telling you to agree that you have another boyfriend, which you do not have. And to admit and to speak the truth. So
he would force the truth that was not there out of you.
Exactly.
You were beating,
So after I came back, I said, me, I really believed in marriage, and I really believed that I cannot break a marriage.
I can imagine.
So I never told my parents. I never told anyone. But my sister used to come and visit. So when the violence continued, my younger sister used to come and visit, and she went and told my mom.
If I get you correct, is after the honeymoon you stayed in Nyeri?
Yes.
So you never came back to Nairobi?
We came back to Nairobi.
Yeah.
We came back to Nairobi and we continued with life.
Yes.
There was a couple of sessions of violence. It used to come like once after 3 months. Once after 3 months or 2 months, you're beaten. And you're beaten for no reason at all. You're beaten for not picking the phone. You're beaten for coming home. I used to be a lecturer at that time at Racheal.
Yes.
I stopped working at KBC. I started doing film and I started teaching. And so maybe sometimes I have an evening class. I get home
and you can't
at
pick
9.
up your calls.
And I used to pay all the bills.
So he didn't continue with his hawking business?
Yes, he didn't.
He was a stay-home
No,
husband.
he was going to hawking, but he was not bringing the money home. I don't know where the money was going. I was paying everything, food. I was paying for the house, but I was trying to cover up everything. Then I took his sisters. I brought them from shags. I said they can't live in shags because they don't have a period to nurture them. I brought them. I enrolled them in schools. They lived in our house, and our house was a 1-bedroom house, so they always used to sleep in the sitting room. And so I was trying to show him how I care and how I love him.
Wow.
And every time there was a seasonal kind of domestic violence.
Even when the sisters came, he still continued to be violent.
Yes, he continued to be violent, and even he was violent to his sisters. Violent men are violent men. He was like, whenever the sister did a mistake, he could beat them like he wants to kill them. And I was like, this is like his problem. And I used to believe he will change. So I went to church.
I know.
I told my pastors, and my pastors told me, you can't quit the marriage. Lazima uvumilie. You've got to pray for your husband. He will change. So I prayed.
I can imagine.
Prayed.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, one of the saddest things that I remember in my marriage life, one of my saddest moments was when I have cooked. I serve my husband food, and then he takes the hot food and smashes it on my face.
Oh, Jesus.
Or I'm sleeping, I have served you food, I've done everything, I've gone to sleep. You take.
Then you're tired, you've come from your work and all that.
Then he takes a bucket of cold water and pours on me
on the bed.
And the worst and most dehumanizing situation I've been to is being peed on, being taken to a bathroom, and he pees on my face and tells me you're useless, and he flashes our wedding rings in the toilet. That's the extent of violence that women go through in marriages while they're quiet. It was really, really sad. And I remember being stripped naked, thrown out of the house, and this is in Gashie. And you know how Gashie is insecure. You're stripped naked, you're put out of the house. The watchman comes and brings you this watchman blanket. You stay there the whole night, and you're the one who's paying rent. You're paying for everything. It was that. It was really sad, and being banged on the wall most of the time, and being told sorry with a lot of love, being told sorry the next day. And the day I decided...
And you would forgive.
Yeah, and I would forgive because I was really determined to keep my marriage.
Did you know, probably I would ask you, did you have like, could you sense the triggers to his violence, or was it spontaneous? You could never tell what makes him that way?
I used to have this sympathy for him. He's an orphan, he's a hawker. So I used to say, like, maybe he goes through a lot, and maybe he's going through a depression, he will change. And my friends kept telling me, Rachel, it's time to quit. My friends played a key role in my life, because they used to come and comfort me and tell me, Racheal, you need to leave that marriage. But only my very closest friends knew what I was going through.
Happening.
Because even my parents came to know when it was really bad, when it was really bad. My mom used to hear rumors, but I never officially told them, so they were not able to intervene. And it reached a point that one day he started now leaving the house and not coming back for 3 days. Then he comes back after 3 days, and he beats me and he leaves, and I don't know where he has been. So
and you couldn't ask him because
I was afraid.
You were
I was
afraid of him.
If you ask a question, you're beaten.
Goodness.
You're beaten. And one of the things that makes me feel so good right now that I left that marriage is the freedom that I have to say, I don't like this. When you're in an abusive relationship, you don't have that freedom.
Yes.
The moment you say anything negative, you'll be beaten. And you know, the moment someone is used to beating you, you fear them.
I know.
You fear them. Even you don't fear God. You fear them more than you fear God.
It's true.
You know, and that is not right. And I feel that many women in this situation are vulnerable because they will never tell anyone because they fear. Even the rumor getting to him that you've said something about it, he can kill you. And you know, most of the time they keep telling you, I'll kill you. I'll kill
Wow.
you.
So it was verbal, emotional, physical abuse. Were there cases of sexual abuse?
Of course. I had the worst cases. Like those days I'm telling you, when he could go for 3 days, he comes and you don't want it, and he comes and says, you have to have sex with me.
Wow.
And you don't know whether you have HIV or what. In fact, that's one of the things I had to struggle with after my divorce, because I had to go with my mom to check whether I have HIV, because I didn't know where this man was going. And you know, the last days, so when I decided to quit, is this day when he came early in the morning. He was absent for like 5 days, and then he came early in the morning, and that day there was a barrier of a mutual friend, so I knew he was coming to change and leave. But when he came in at around 5 a.m., I got a call from my landlord. My landlord told me, and he lives in Kikuyu, and we used to live in Racheal. My landlord told me, your husband is saying you've refused to open the door for him.
Wow.
So I woke up, I went to the door, I knew I'll be beaten, but I had a feeling that this time it's going to be bad. This time it's going to be bad.
Maybe just hold that thought just for a minute, and then after the break, you can tell us. So our viewer, hold that thought, keep your comments coming. Wow, this is quite heavy, and I believe there's a woman that is going through the same. But as we come after the break, I believe we are going to hear, after divorce, what happens. See you after the break. Welcome back, our viewer. It's quite an inspiring story, having Racheal Wainaina telling us about her journey through divorce. Before we went for the break, Racheal, you were telling us about how your ex-husband called the landlord and said that you've refused to open the gate. Please take us from there.
Yes, so he said, I was called by the landlord, told your husband has said you've refused to open the door for him. And so I woke up and I felt like this time it was something bad. I just felt in my conscience, don't open that door. Don't open that door, because he didn't even knock. He first called the landlord. And I was like, oh my God, I'm in for some shock, and it's early in the morning, nobody can help me. And then, you know, even the neighbors were used that I'm being beaten. And we were even chased out of some buildings because of that violence.
Did neighbors come to help?
No, they never. Actually, that's the saddest thing. When you're going through violence, your neighbors can hear you being banged, almost being killed, and they keep quiet and they don't come.
Did you scream? Even if you scream?
I used to scream. My friends, my close friend, one of them had to move her where she used to live to come and live close to me, so that when she hears that, she used to come and knock the door. She's the only one I can say who tried to do something. But the rest of the people were ignorant. Even the day that I'll tell you about it shortly, but even the day that I ended up in hospital, there were people, and they never helped. So it's so sad that
it is so sad. Yeah, society
ignores people when they're going through such. They don't have the gift of compassion, or they just say family matters. Let's not
actually
interfere.
I've had many women confess that even when they go to the police station and report, probably there could be reforms that are happening, but most people used to say that domestic violence and domestic issues should be just kept in the house.
Yes.
And when you go to try and report, they try to make it just a simple affair, whereas when it comes to violence, there is no excuse to why. There is nothing somebody should do that should earn them a beating.
That's true.
And I'm trying to think, before we even talk about what really happened, what kept you there?
You know, I think it's the belief and the hope that it's wrong. actually for me, I used to believe that it's so wrong. I made a vow before God.
Yes.
I went in the altar and I made a
know.
vow that I'll love him for better for us.
I know.
And I used to comfort myself with those oaths. But let me tell you something. I came to realize later he was not even keeping one word.
Is he still born again? I'm just curious. Is he still a brother? Is he still going to church?
He had shaved his hair. He was going to church. In fact, every time we had a serious dispute, we went to the pastor. We talked. He said how he will change. He cried. You know, violence has two sides. It has full passion and violence. So what happens is he beats you, you cry, then he feels sorry, then he comes to you, then he tells you, I'll forgive you, forgive me, I'll never do that again, I'll never ever lay my hand on you again, I love you. And he treats you, he buys you presents, he starts paying the bills which he doesn't pay.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a roller coaster where he has very good feelings. At the other time, he swings the opposite direction.
It's like bipolar.
Yeah, actually, he's almost bipolar.
So he has mood swings, and you don't know when the mood swings will happen. So even like when you're sent to the shop, you go, you can't answer anything contrary to what he's saying.
I think, and every woman watching us there, it's important to note that sometimes the violence that is inflicted on you is not your fault. And don't just stay there because the man is saying sorry. And probably there could be men who are also going through the same. We've seen them come out clean that they are also being abused. Just like the normal way, abusive people will always come and say sorry to the same extreme. When you look at the equal measure, they gave you the beating, they will come and stoop so low, and you would tend to imagine that they have reformed. So I asked you what kept you there. What really kept you there?
Because I loved him. I really loved him. And actually even the society knew that I loved him. And I also really respected God and felt like, wait, Racheal, how can you divorce? Like, you cannot be a divorcee.
So your commitment to God is what, number one, kept you there. Number two, you felt you loved him.
Yes, and I kept praying for him, by the way. All throughout, I kept praying. And my friends were telling me, you're being unrealistic. You need to look at this thing logically.
I know.
And I kept telling them, I have hope. He will change. He's a good man. The man I saw the first day, he was a good man.
But there's something you said that when you saw him as a hawker, that something in you felt compassion for him.
Yes.
And you felt that he would change.
Yes, and I think the reason why I had sympathy for him is because I was also a hawker before.
Oh yeah.
But now he was a different kind of hawker.
Okay.
He had nice shoes, nice jeans, clean, smells good, and he's hawking. So I found it really quite intriguing.
I know.
And he was handsome as well. So I looked at all that and I said, wow, this guy just needs a wife who can believe in him.
So it's like you try to mirror yourself in him.
Exactly.
And like you saw, oh yeah, this is the same kind of, Racheal who's gone through that. But at least this one is taking it positively. And I believe that is where the compassion part of it was converted into love.
Yes.
Wow, great.
Yes, it was actually after many years, I can now say that I felt sympathy for him, especially when he told me he's an orphan and then he lives in the street, and he was taking care of a lot of his sisters. They had 9 siblings and he was the firstborn. So that touched me. I like people who care for others and take care for others. So I think all these things came together and convinced me, like, this is a good man, this is a responsible man.
To every lady watching us, sympathy is not the way to go when it comes to choice of a partner. Because when you become sympathetic about somebody, as your friend told you, there's no more logic. Because you feel, the sisters, and so you came in, your motherly instincts were reignited. And so I believe even when you're in that relationship, you are not in that relationship like a wife.
I think I was like a mother, because I actually even took all the siblings
and
they were living in my house. I had a house help, and for me to afford to pay those bills, I had to work harder to teach 8 classes a day at Shantao. 8. Wow. From morning to evening. I only had very few breaks because obviously the money was not that much, but I was hardworking and to get that amount of money, and I was also taking my smaller sister to college, at Kenya Institute of Management. So I used to budget my money. I pay rent, I buy food, and I take those kids to school. Lucky enough, it was free primary education.
So at what point did it become too much for you to bear?
At that day when he came into the house and he called the landlord. So I went to there were 2 doors in my house. So I went to the kitchen door. I told him to come there. I'm opening for him there. When he came there, I went to the sitting room. I opened. Then I locked myself with the 2 doors of the kitchen in the kitchen.
Wow.
Now, I didn't know that I had forgotten the Meko was in the corridor. In the corridor between the sitting room and the kitchen. So when he came in, he came straight looking for me to beat me. And then I had locked myself in the kitchen. He took the thing that is usually on top of the Meko. He started hitting the door to break it. But lucky enough for me, he was drunk. So he didn't. Oh, so he was not coordinating very well.
He was also a drunkard.
Yeah, he was also a drunkard at that time and all that. And what happened is I opened the other kitchen door slowly, ran out of the gate and went to another shop. Remember, this is 5:30 a.m. in the morning. I went to that shop. So the lady asked me, why are you here so early? I said, nothing. So she pitied me and then she gave me biscuits. Is it Britannia's a 5-bob? Then I was sitting there. I was sitting on the floor just below those 2 shops of Racheal. You know, it's in the village. Then I'm sitting there and I'm eating the biscuits and I'm crying. And then I don't know why he hates me. I don't know why he beats me. I don't understand, because I was asking myself, what do I do wrong? I cooked, I cleaned the house, I did everything. I am providing. There's nothing I've not done. Why is he beating me? And so as I was sitting there, at around 6:30 a.m., he came out. I saw him because I was waiting for him to come out, because I told you I knew he was going for a burial. So he came out and he was on the road. He stopped a matatu.
This time he's not drunk.
He was still drunk, because I don't know. Okay, I left the house at 5.
Yes.
At 5:30. So I think he was still hungover and all that. And so I was at around 6:30. I'm standing at the shop so I can see him. Like, it's like 30 meters from where I was. So I knew he can't beat me. I'm in public. There's a lot of people on the road. He can't beat me. So he came, he stopped a matatu. By bad luck, that matatu, you know the way you stop it and it had already passed. It came and stopped slightly ahead of me. So I thought, since there are so many people and he doesn't want public drama, he'll just go to the matatu. So I felt safe. So I sat at the shop, and when he reached near me, and the matatu has stopped, it's waiting for him. When he reached near me, he said, "You think I can't beat you from here?" He took a big stone and he hit me on the face. Then he went. I fell. The shopkeeper came out to try and help me. I lost my consciousness for a while. I don't remember exactly what happened, but people tell me what happened. But one thing I can remember is that I looked at him. He hit me. I looked at him. He went and boarded that matatu, and nobody asked him anything.
Even the passengers that were in there?
He boarded that matatu and he left. And nobody asked him anything. And he hit me with a big stone. And I was picked by the neighbors, taken to the hospital. And that's how I ended up in hospital for 70 days. And I forgot to tell you something, you know, even just like that, during that honeymoon period, I lost my baby during the honeymoon period, because I got high blood pressure, and after 6 months of marriage, 6 months, I lost the baby. 6 months in 3
because
months.
of the pressure you were under. You even became hypertensive.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
So I had forgotten to say that. That is the worst thing that has ever happened.
Was he supportive when you lost the baby, or did he blame you?
I can't even remember, because I was under so much pressure. I had to pay my hospital bills myself, like at Kenyatta Hospital. And my dad had to come and pay.
This is heavy.
And my mom. And, you know, my parents were crying. My dad, I actually usually cry every time when I remember, because my dad never used to have diabetes. And he got diabetes. So I always ask myself, is it because of me? Because my dad used to really hurt when he got to know about this. And when I heard that my dad used his fatherly love, and he told me when I was in the hospital, he told me, Racheal, you know, right now I've been diagnosed with diabetes. I don't want to die because of you. Just leave that marriage.
Wow.
It's enough. When I had that thing and the affection between me and my dad, I just decided to quit. I just decided this is the time that now I choose.
So you're in hospital.
What is most valuable
for 70 days?
Yes.
Is he coming to see you?
Sometimes he comes, and then towards the end, my parents told him not to come at all.
Did you report to the police?
I didn't have the opportunity. I was taken straight to the hospital. I did not have the opportunity. So it was my friends and my parents coming to visit me, Masaba Hospital, moving from Masaba Hospital to St. Mary's. It was really tough.
But I'm thinking for you to be admitted in hospital, what reason did they give? Because was it an accident? What did they say happened?
It was a fight.
Because if it's a fight, I believe you should have maybe a P3 or something for you to be treated.
No, I don't know, because I was unconscious. As I told you, when I was hit with a stone, I was unconscious. I woke up in the hospital. And my parents said, you can go and report. But like, I was so finished. Like, by the time I came out of hospital, I was so finished.
You had lost your will to fight back.
Heartbroken. Wow. And then when I told him that it's over, that's when the real hardship began. Because I told him, now this is over. I just sent him a text. I told him it's over. I've tried my best, but I'm not coming back. So he started threatening me.
On
sending
phone?
Me text messages. I'm going to kill you. Then he could come outside Hazina Towers. You know, I used to work in Shank's house. So he could come outside Hazina Towers. And he could observe me when I'm leaving, and he could tell me, I can see you, you're wearing a yellow coat.
And even at this point,
he's texting me.
Even at this point, you didn't feel like reporting to the police?
At that point, I had not reported to the police yet, because I was just trying to leave. I was so afraid of him. I was thinking he's going to kill me. Yeah. In fact, there's something I need to confess. When I left hospital, I was supposed to go to my dad's house. But I refused to go to my dad's house. I told, you know, I said to myself, at my dad's house, he knows he will come. I was so scared of him, and my mom.
Yeah, actually, and you were afraid for them.
Actually, my mom is no one to joke with. My late mom, you don't joke with her. She will mess you. My mom now, she used to go to him directly. Don't ever speak to my daughter. You know, she's very protective of her children. And so I went to live with my cousin. She was a widow. She was living in a mad house, you know, mad house in Racheal. She used to come and actually wash clothes for me. So I went to live with her. I said, there is where he thinks I cannot be. So I stayed there. I stayed there like for 6 months with that girl. Lived with her children. And that's how I started healing. Because I had her children. I give them all the love that I had given him. Wow, so the children could run back to me and appreciate me. And then my cousin was very helpful, because she was like treating me like a princess, you know. She was cooking, doing everything in that mad house. We had a beautiful life there, and we had happiness and we had love. And even when it came for the time for me to leave, and now I was feeling safe and I could take my own house, actually it was a very emotional moment. We cried for hours with the children, my cousin, because it was such a tight family affair. And you know, like that time when he kept sending me text messages, I was still fearing him.
I know.
But it came to a point where I said, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die. I went to Central Police Station. I asked to see the OCS.
Thank God.
And when I saw the OCS, I told him, I'm going to be killed. And I want to tell you my story. So I told him my story. He told me, just show me where he lives. Just show me where you think he lives. I said, I'll show him where he used to live before we were living together. Because he also left the house. The landlord told me he also left the house. He couldn't pay.
Of course.
So he left. And he left everything in the house.
Did they come looking out for you?
No, the sisters were very good to me. But their big sister, when he noticed the violence and everything, she took them. So they were safe at that moment. So The police looked for him. They even tracked him on phone. This OCS was so helpful. And they took him and they jailed him for 2 days.
Okay.
But poor me, I still had that compassion in me. I went and paid 10,000 shillings to get him released.
Racheal.
So
You paid 2,000.
10,000.
10,000 to have him released.
Yeah, after 2 days,
After
I felt
2 days.
so much bad that I've taken him in. And so the OCS took him and told him, I'm telling you this, don't ever call Racheal. So he was given what is it called? An
Restriction order.
Restriction order.
Yeah.
Not to come near me a kilometer. Not to come anywhere a kilometer near me.
Yeah.
So he couldn't even go to work. You know, he used to work in town.
Oh.
And I used to work in town. He couldn't go to work. So he was told not to come near me. And the OCS said, next time we're not coming for you. We are going to shoot you. You're useless. You know, the OCS was very strict with him, and he said, this is like my daughter.
That is so. Don't be afraid to go to the police. Just
go.
go.
Yeah, just go to the some police are helpful. And if you're not helped by the police, just go to the OCS, go to the OCPD, be aggressive for your rights. Go to FIDA. I realized all these offices are open. And they can help people, but people don't know, because later on I have met people, because later on God has blessed me, and I've met people.
Amen.
And I've come to discover the doors are always open. Why did I have to go through this alone?
Great.
And so that's the moment now I became free and started my life again.
Wow. And now, after the divorce, we are going to get to the next segment, and Racheal is going to walk us through her journey after the divorce. But if you're there and you know a lady that is going through a similar story, don't keep quiet. Be the neighbor that will speak out. You can write to us, you can call us, you can reach out to the relatives, or you can go to the police. Whatever you need to do, don't let the lady that is next door, that is enduring violence, to die before you speak out. Be your sister's keeper. We'll see you after this break. God bless you. Yeah, welcome back, our viewer. We've been having the one and the only gorgeous Racheal. She's been telling us her story through divorce and in an abusive marriage. And you're there, you have a story to share, or you have a lady that really needs help. Don't keep quiet. You can reach out to us on the number on your screen, our Facebook handle. We are there to listen, and we can help where we can. Where we need to involve the authorities, involve them. We are losing too many girls and too many women due to domestic violence. It is time to speak up and say no to it. Wow, Racheal. Now you decide it's over. So where do you begin from there?
So when I decided it's over, I had to start life again from scratch.
Yes.
So after leaving my cousin's house, I went and took a 2-room house.
Yes.
And then
Gashie or where?
Gashie.
Again.
Gashie. But I used to be like always on the lookout.
Yes.
Is he following me? Is he doing
So the feelings of fear still pursued you, a lot of felt insecure.
Getting nightmares.
Oh my.
At night I could see his face on the window.
Wow.
I could imagine he can come and rape me and cut my face and do anything, because he had told me so many times before that if I leave him, he'll kill me.
Wow.
So I used to really fear. But then that's when I started Youth Film Platform. I decided, what can I do with my life so that I stop feeling the emptiness that I'm feeling? Because I was also heartbroken. I loved him. And now I don't have a marriage.
So there's this feeling of loss, grief, emptiness.
Everything.
Wow.
So one night I went for a kesha at JCC church in Parklands. I was all alone. I went to the kesha, and Bishop Kina came and said, God is speaking to you.
Yes.
If some of you who have been saying you want to teach,
wow,
you want to empower the next generation, it's your time. God is saying this is your year. And I remember crying. And you're all alone. Even in that church, nobody really knows you well. So you're all alone, you're crying, you tell God amen, but you say it as if you don't believe it. So the next day I decided, why don't I actually ask JCC Church if I can start a class there? they advertised I'll teach it for free because
Wow.
I still had my job at Shangtao. So they advertised for the class. They said there's a film class that's going to be going on.
Amen.
And we want 30 students. So 37 registered.
Glory to God.
At the end of that year, we had graduated 27 students.
Amen.
And I remember New Breed Chapel Pastor Eric
He was there.
officiated the graduation.
Oh, he did that? Okay.
He was a youth pastor at
He's
JCC
my
at that
friend
time.
as well. I thought he was in that class.
No,
Great.
he actually
Wow.
officiated that graduation.
That
He was
is-
sent by Bishop Kuna.
Amen.
And from there on, US Embassy came on board.
Wow.
Other organizations came on board. And I can tell you what God has done.
Amen.
No man can do, because as I'm talking, I have received awards every year from 2011.
Glory to
2011, I got
God.
Unsung Hero Award by the US Embassy in Nairobi
Amen.
for doing that project for the youth.
Yes.
2012, I got top 40 women in film in Africa.
Wow.
2013, I got Kiambu County Heroes Award for
Great.
investment in the county.
Yes.
2014, I became a Mandela Washington Fellow, the
Hey.
first cohort of Mandela Washington Fellow
Wow.
to go to be airlifted to the US. I studied in the University of Notre Dame and had a live conference with Obama and Michelle Obama.
Jesus
I met Bill
Christ.
Gates, and I could not believe it, you know.
Amen.
It was unbelievable at the speed at which my life was going. And then
So it was not for nothing.
Yes, and
Yes.
even if you, like 2015, I was at GES delegate in the GES summit. I met Obama again.
Wow.
And 2016 Innovation in the Counties Award. I
Hey.
also got Timeless Women of Wonder
Glory to
2016 by National Gender Commission and by TWOW. They gave me that award.
Wow.
And 2017 we took our film to Cannes Film Festival.
God. Yes.
And this year I was in Chinimadamari. Every year is a blessing. I've
Amen.
traveled countries. When I was married,
Yes.
I had never ever left the country.
Yeah.
But when I started living, I
Amen.
left. I went to the US 2 times, 3 times. I went to
Wow.
South Africa. I went to France, Italy,
Amen.
Switzerland, all these countries. And I traveled because of the work that I now dedicated myself to do. I stayed for 10 years
Glory to
without
God.
dating again. And when I filed my divorce, I want to tell you an interesting story about my divorce.
Oh
Actually,
my
when I
goodness.
filed my divorce, I was wondering, this guy is going to start disturbing me and I
Yeah.
don't want to meet him.
Yes.
So we were talking with some friends, how do we do it so that he doesn't disturb me? I decided, since I know he doesn't have money, let me go and file the divorce in Nakuru as if I live in Nakuru.
Okay.
So I went and met the lawyer in Nakuru. We filed to the divorce in a court in Nakuru.
Yes.
So when he was served with the papers, he saw, hey, I cannot be going to Nakuru for the case. So he didn't answer, and so we waited, because there's a number of days you're given by the court
Yes.
to wait until he replies. He's
Yes.
supposed to reply.
Yes.
So he never replied to that. And so we went back to the court and we said, we argued that let this marriage be annulled, because he did not refute and he was served with the papers by the court. And the reason why he didn't want, because he would spend a lot of money there.
Oh, yeah.
And rumors have it that even up to today, he's not moved from that area. But I'm not bitter.
But
I'm
you
not
told me
bitter.
at some point that
Because I forgive.
you suspected there was drug abuse, there was
Exactly.
substance abuse. What role do you think the church played in probably making sure that you stayed in the marriage though it was abusive?
Okay, we had a wonderful pastor.
Yes.
I think because we were not also completely honest with the pastor.
Ah, okay.
Because every time we used to go to the pastor, we used to hide some things.
Yes.
Chapa, but not saying.
Well, the
exactly
way
what
ulichapwa
was-
vizuri.
You know, like the way
Yeah.
there are things you don't tell your pastor, because your pastor will be harsh on your husband and
Yeah.
all that.
So you were still protective of him.
I was protective
You are
of
such
him,
a-
to my parents,
You are
to
such
the
a nice
pastor.
person. Wow.
So when we even went for that counseling, I was afraid to say so much. So the pastor spoke to us, said, "You guys, do you pray before you sleep? Pray. You keep working at it. Marriage is not easy, and then yeah, the pastor really advised us, but I think he didn't have the real scenario, so I cannot blame him for telling me to be in my marriage.
And that feeling of being trapped in that relationship, I've heard many people just go tell somebody who is going through an abusive marriage that all you need to do is just walk out. What are you doing? What are those feelings, and what is that keeps somebody who is in a violent relationship grounded, that you can't move?
I think, unfortunately, most people who go through violence are actually the best women. Marriage material women that we have in this country. Because, for example, you find such women are protective of their husbands. They don't want to expose them. And they believe in the institution of marriage. And they believe in love. You're there because you love that man. You can't imagine your life without him. So that's why you're there.
Great.
And you're there genuinely. Yeah, you're there genuinely. And sometimes also, even this, you keep giving excuses for him. Keep saying he could be sick.
Yeah.
He could be going through a depression, which is so wrong. One thing I've learned is
don't
never give an excuses for an adult.
For an adult, it's true.
For his actions. We are all responsible for our own actions, and we should be held accountable for each and every action that we do.
Do you have a feeling that now, after what you've been through, and now that you're more outside of that relationship, do you feel there's anything you should have done earlier than you did it?
Yes, I should have quit during my honeymoon.
Wow.
I would have been very far, because look at how my life took a positive turn. And I'm happy to say that now I'm happily married again. So that is a happy ending. I have a man who treasures me.
Amen.
All that. And though we've not done a church wedding, we did the traditional wedding with the parents.
Yes.
Because I still have a big phobia of a church wedding to date. It's a fear that will take time to go away. Every time, if you come and propose to me, I get a heart attack, because I'm like, wow, what do you want?
So how did the man who now has married you, how did he go past through the heart attack and the phobia and akakuweka kwa box in quotes?
In fact, he put me in the box. He put me in the box in another way.
Yeah.
Like we moved in together actually before even we went to the parents.
Okay.
Because for me, I told my dad, forgive me, Dad, but I'm not going to do a church wedding again.
Wow.
And I need to know a man by living with him. But it was not the right way. It was actions out of fear.
I know.
Actions out of what you've gone through. But then I was very lucky that he was a really, really good man, and he was really, willing to stay and to treat me like a princess. He's the opposite.
Oh, great.
And that's a testimony that when you wait, and when you wait upon God, and when you pray and you're faithful, God will give you your rib. A man who his rib, a man who is yours, your soulmate.
Amen.
And that man will respect you. He'll treat you like a queen.
I know.
And he will, he will always take care of you.
So all is not lost for whoever is divorced.
Yes, all is not lost.
Yes.
You're beautiful. There's a man who's going to adore you.
Yes.
Just compose yourself. Don't rush into another relationship because of anger. And don't be angry at anyone. By the way, I'm not angry at my ex-husband.
Amen.
After all that happened, I came to understand that he was abusing drugs. He was injecting steroids.
Oh, wow.
And what I did after some years, when my mom died on 2014, he gave me a call and he asked me, can I come to the burial? And I said, she used to be your mom. You're welcome for the burial. And I told God from that day, please let me forgive.
Wow.
Let me forgive. Human is to err. I have also wronged so many people in my life. And maybe you never know what was leading someone to do what they were doing. But now that I'm free from him, I've taken a lot of years to be away from him.
Yes. How many years now?
It's been long. Over a decade.
Wow.
Over a decade.
So it took you a long time to heal, though?
Yeah, it took me a long time. Even not to heal, even to trust.
Even
to go on a date.
Yes.
Like, I can tell you, my husband, I gave him a tough time.
I can imagine.
But I thank God for the knowledge and the experience.
Yes.
It has taught me a lot, and it has equipped me to help other women.
Amen.
Like one day I shared my story on Facebook, and it was shared all over Mpasho, and even Wainaina again was discussing it. And I said, your story can be used as a testimony for another woman to feel good about themselves.
Amen.
And to change. And even the best thing is that my story is rewritten.
Yes, it
right
is.
now.
Oh,
I have
great.
a husband.
Do you have a film or a book?
I don't have a book. A book is in the making.
Yeah, just wow,
And
great.
there's a friend of mine from Hollywood.
Yes.
Who was telling me that he wants me to keep my story for him to come and do. So we are somehow now starting to work on it.
Yeah.
It's a really, big story, and I believe more testimonies are coming.
Amen.
So I keep saying I'll not write my book right now because more testimonies are coming.
Oh, glory
when I will
to
own
God.
the estates and
Yes.
put the youth there, create
Yes.
jobs and all
Amen.
that. That's when I want to write the book, because
Glory.
I'll write the book to show that God
Is
is
able
God,
to do it.
And
Amen.
I'm so grateful and humbled, and give all glory and honor for my life.
Thank
and
you
for
so
everything
much.
in my life.
Amen.
To God, because if it was not God, who else?
Amen. Romans 8:28 says that all things work together for good, for those who love God and are called according to his purpose.
Yes.
And I believe you never went through that in vain. No wonder God is rewarding you. I must say from us, CTN and Gorgeous, is to say thank you so much for allowing yourself to bless people and to pour out your heart honestly. And you are a sweet soul, because God does not trust people with such temptations unless he knows they have a good heart and they are strong to overcome it. So thank you so much, Racheal.
Thank you.
We look forward to having you next time. And we wish you well with your husband.
Thank you.
Better days are ahead.
Okay.
Amen. And our viewers, what a happy ending. Indeed, the word of God is true, that they that wait upon the Lord, he shall renew their strength. They will always rise up. They will run and never be weary. They will never faint. And whatever you are, if you are fainting, I pray that the Lord will raise you up. He will encourage you and to assure you that your ending will be great. Because where God is, there is always breakthroughs and testimonies of success. From us and Gorgeous is just to tell you thank you for watching us. For the production team, God bless you. Until we see you next time, keep it gorgeous. Next episode, we are having part 2 of this session with a wonderful lady, somebody that you know. Watch out for the teaser. God bless you.